The world doesn't need another woman who blends in. The world needs you. Unapologetic, unstoppable, undeniable. Confidence isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about carrying the kind of presence that makes the room turn when you walk in. This is not a skill you're born with. It's a weapon you forge. And today, I'm going to hand you the blueprint to unleash it. Confidence doesn't start when you open your mouth. It begins the moment you step into the room. Before anyone hears a single word from you, they've already read you. They've taken in the way you stand, the way you hold yourself, the way your energy either expands or shrinks. A confident woman understands that her presence speaks before she does. She doesn't slip into the background, hoping to be noticed. She enters as if she belongs, as if the space was waiting for her to fill it. This isn't arrogance. It's self-awareness. It's knowing you've earned your place, and you're not afraid to claim it. Your body tells your story before your words ever do. Shoulders back, chin lifted, not so high it looks detached, but high enough to signal that you are unafraid to meet the world head-on. Your spine straight, not rigid, but strong. This is not about looking intimidating, it's about looking certain. Because certainty is magnetic. People are drawn to it, even if they can't explain why. The woman who walks in with grounded confidence shifts the atmosphere without even trying. That's because her presence is not about performance. It's about truth. She is not pretending to be confident. She is simply refusing to be small. Eye contact is the bridge between your inner power and the outside world. Most people look away too soon. They break the connection before they've even established it. But a confident woman knows that holding someone's gaze doesn't just say, "I see you." It says, "I'm not afraid to be seen." That's a very different energy. It's not about staring someone down. It's about being fully present in the moment, allowing your attention to signal that you value yourself enough to stand firm. People remember that. They remember how it felt to be looked at with steady assurance instead of nervous avoidance. And then there's energy. The invisible force people feel before you say a word. Energy doesn't lie. If you're uncertain, it shows. If you're anxious, it leaks into your movements. But when your inner dialogue is rooted in self-belief, it radiates outward. Your steps are deliberate. Your gestures are natural. You don't fidget, you don't shrink, you don't overcompensate. You just are. And that authenticity is what captivates people more than any rehearsed performance could. Presence is not about doing more. It's about being more aligned with who you truly are. Owning your space also means refusing to physically minimize yourself. Too often women are taught, subtly or directly, to take up less room, to fold their arms, cross their legs tightly, keep their movements contained. But a confident woman is unafraid to let her body exist fully. She takes her seat without curling into the smallest version of herself. She places her hands on the table instead of hiding them in her lap. She leans forward when she's engaged. These physical signals tell the world, "I deserve to be here." And that belief, spoken through your body, is often more persuasive than anything you could say aloud. The beauty of owning your space is that it's not about dominating others. It's not about being the loudest, the tallest, or the most dramatic. It's about self-respect. When you carry yourself like someone who matters, people treat you like someone who matters. This doesn't happen by accident. It's a decision you make before you even step into the room. I will not shrink to make others comfortable. I will not hide to avoid judgment. I will not enter quietly into a world that needs my presence. I will be seen, I will be heard, and I will be felt. Not because I demand it, but because I embody it. That is the quiet, undeniable power of owning your space before you speak. Your voice is one of the most powerful tools you will ever own, but too many people use it timidly, as if they're afraid of being heard. The truth is, how you speak shapes how the world perceives you. A confident woman understands that her words are not just sounds. They are statements of identity. When she speaks, there is no trace of hesitation in her tone. She doesn't dilute her thoughts with uncertainty. Every sentence she delivers carries weight because she has already decided that what she has to say matters. The difference between a voice that commands respect and one that gets overlooked lies in certainty. Too often, people weaken their message with filler words like, maybe, I guess, or I think. These phrases are invisible thieves, quietly robbing your authority. A confident woman replaces them with clarity. She says, this is the way forward, instead of, I think this might be the way forward. She states facts instead of asking for validation. This doesn't mean she's closed to discussion. It means she refuses to present her ideas as if they need permission to exist. It's not just the words. It's the delivery. Speaking with unshakable certainty is about pace, tone, and emphasis. She doesn't rush her words as if she's afraid of taking up time. She allows her sentences to land, giving them room to breathe, knowing that silence can be just as powerful as speech. Her tone is steady, not monotone, not overly dramatic, but grounded, deliberate, and controlled. People feel her conviction in the rhythm of her words, in the way she places her emphasis with intention. That kind of delivery makes even simple statements feel significant. Eye contact plays as much a role in speaking with certainty as the words themselves. When you speak, you're not just sending information into the air. You're connecting with people. A confident woman locks her focus, letting her gaze travel deliberately between listeners, ensuring each person feels acknowledged. She doesn't glance away nervously or stare at the floor to avoid being challenged. Her eyes reinforce her words. They say, I mean this, without a sound. That silent confidence builds trust faster than any long explanation ever could. And then there's emotional alignment, the match between what you say and what you believe. No matter how polished your delivery is, if you don't truly believe in your own words, people will sense it. Authentic conviction is impossible to fake for long. A confident woman speaks from a place of alignment, where her values, her beliefs, and her message are consistent. That alignment fuels her certainty. It gives her the courage to speak truths that might be uncomfortable, to hold her ground even when others disagree. People respect that courage because it is rare. Speaking with unshakable certainty does not mean speaking without listening. Confidence is not about drowning others out. It's about knowing your voice has equal value in the conversation. A confident woman listens fully, considers what's being said, and then responds without shrinking or softening her stance unnecessarily. She doesn't raise her volume to win. She raises the quality of her words. And when she speaks as if every word counts, because it does. In a world full of noise, certainty is the signal people will always hear. Too many women have been taught to downplay their achievements, to soften their presence, to shrink just enough so they won't be labeled as too much. But the truth is, the world will always try to put a confident woman into a smaller box, because her very existence challenges the comfort of those who fear their own potential. A woman who refuses to apologize for her power is not arrogant. She is simply unwilling to betray herself for the sake of someone else's comfort. She understands that confidence is not a crime and power is not a flaw. It is the natural state of someone who has worked for her place and refuses to hand it back. When you start apologizing for your strength, you send a signal to the world that you doubt it yourself. Sorry, I didn't mean to, or I hope I'm not coming off as, chips away at your authority. Apologies have their place when you've truly done wrong, but when they become a reflex for simply existing in your full capacity, they become self-erasure. A confident woman understands that she can be gracious without being submissive. She can be kind without making herself smaller. She can be respected without being agreeable to everything. There is a dangerous myth that says powerful women are intimidating, and therefore they should tone themselves down to be more likable. But likability is a trap. It forces you to mold yourself into a version that pleases everyone but yourself. A confident woman doesn't seek to be liked by everyone. She seeks to be respected by the right people. She knows that some will call her too much simply because they are too little in their own self-belief. She doesn't water down her fire to keep others warm. She lets them find their own light. Refusing to apologize for your power doesn't mean being dismissive of others. It means being unapologetic about your ambition, your opinions, your voice, and your right to take up space. It means saying, I worked for this position, and I deserve to stand in it. It means declining opportunities that don't match your worth, even when people call you ungrateful. It means holding your head high when others whisper behind your back, because you know their whispers come from a place of insecurity, not truth. A confident woman doesn't ask for permission to exist in her full form. She simply exists. The shift happens the day you decide you will no longer trade authenticity for approval. You stop explaining why you want what you want. You stop defending your decisions to people who will never understand your vision. You stop saying, I'm sorry, for speaking, for leading, for shining, for dreaming too big. That shift is liberation. It's the day you stop negotiating your value with people who couldn't afford it even if they tried. A confident woman knows that her worth is not determined by how comfortable she makes others. It's determined by how true she is to herself. And here's the most powerful truth. When you stop apologizing for your power, you give others permission to stop apologizing for theirs. You become the mirror that shows them what it looks like to stand tall without flinching. Your confidence becomes contagious. Your example becomes a blueprint. And your existence becomes a challenge to every small-minded expectation society has tried to place on women. This is how change begins, not by asking for permission, but by living in such a way that no one dares to suggest you need it. There is a massive difference between expectations and standards, and understanding that difference changes everything. Expectations are wishes. You hope people will treat you a certain way. You hope opportunities will come to you. You hope situations will work out in your favor. But hope is fragile, and it leaves your power in someone else's hands. Standards are different. Standards are boundaries written in stone, the non-negotiable rules you live by. They are not requests. They are requirements. A confident woman does not sit back hoping to be treated well. She sets the standard for how she will be treated and enforces it every single time. When you live by standards, you stop tolerating behavior that falls short of them. That means you don't excuse disrespect, even if it comes from someone you love. You don't tolerate inconsistency, even if you desperately want the connection. You don't accept crumbs when you know you deserve the feast. A confident woman would rather walk alone in her own truth than be surrounded by people who benefit from her silence. She doesn't threaten to enforce her standards. She simply enforces them, calmly and without drama, because her worth is not up for debate. Standards are not about arrogance or superiority. They are about self-respect. They are the invisible fence that protects your energy, your peace, and your vision. Without them, you become a magnet for chaos, disrespect, and manipulation. But with them, you become a filter. The wrong people fall away because they cannot meet your level, and the right people rise to meet you. This is not about being unkind or closed off. It's about protecting the space you've worked too hard to build. A confident woman understands that not everyone will belong in her life, and she doesn't try to force them to fit. Living by standards also means holding yourself accountable to them. It's not enough to demand respect from others if you're not respecting yourself. If you say you value your health, you follow through with actions that protect it. If you say you value your time, you stop giving it to people or situations that drain you. A confident woman knows that her standards must start with how she treats herself, because the world is always watching, and it will treat you according to the example you set for yourself. Enforcing standards is not always easy. Sometimes it means walking away from someone you care about. Sometimes it means turning down an opportunity that doesn't align with your worth. Sometimes it means saying no, when every part of you wants to say yes, just to avoid discomfort. But every time you hold that line, you strengthen your self-respect. You teach yourself that you can trust your own boundaries, that you will not abandon yourself just to make someone else feel better. That trust in yourself becomes unshakable confidence, the kind that cannot be bought or borrowed. It can only be built. The beauty of setting standards is that it sends a silent but powerful message. I know who I am, and I will not settle for less. People can feel that energy before you ever speak it out loud. It's in the way you carry yourself, the way you respond to disrespect without anger, but with certainty, the way you make decisions that align with your values. And the truth is, the world treats you according to the boundaries you enforce, not the boundaries you talk about. A confident woman doesn't just hope for respect. She builds a life where anything less than respect simply doesn't survive. Confidence is not built on hesitation, it's built on decisions. Every moment you delay, waiting for the perfect timing, the perfect plan, or the perfect reassurance, you hand your power to fear. A confident woman understands that life doesn't reward hesitation, it rewards action. She doesn't wait for someone to validate her choices. She doesn't linger on what ifs until the opportunity passes. She decides, she commits, and she moves forward knowing that action will teach her far more than endless overthinking ever could. The ability to make decisions with certainty is a skill, and like any skill, it grows stronger the more you use it. Indecision is often disguised as caution, but underneath it is usually fear. Fear of making the wrong choice, fear of judgment, fear of failure. But a confident woman knows that a wrong decision is not the end. It's a lesson, a step forward, a path that reveals what works and what doesn't. She'd rather make a choice and adjust than stand still, paralyzed by the illusion of safety. Movement builds momentum, and momentum creates opportunities that hesitation can never reach. When a confident woman makes a decision, she owns it. She doesn't spend the next week apologizing for it or explaining it away to people who weren't even involved. She stands by her choice because she trusts her ability to adapt if things change. That trust in herself is the foundation of her decisiveness. It's not about always being right. It's about always being ready to handle whatever comes next. The more you trust your ability to navigate the unknown, the more fearless your decision-making becomes. Decisive action also communicates strength to the world. People naturally follow those who lead with certainty. In relationships, in business, in any setting, decisiveness creates confidence in others. When you hesitate, you invite doubt, not only in your mind, but in the minds of those around you. A confident woman doesn't need to have all the answers before she moves forward. She needs only to know her direction. She understands that the act of deciding sends a powerful message. I am in control of my life, and I trust myself to handle the outcome. The most dangerous habit you can fall into is waiting for permission. Waiting for the right time, the right words, the right approval. It's a slow death for your potential. A confident woman refuses to give that kind of power away. She creates her own timing. She seizes her own opportunities. And she accepts that not everyone will agree with her choices. But she also knows this: the people who truly belong in her life will respect her ability to lead her own path, even if they don't always understand it. Making decisions like you mean them is not about recklessness. It's about commitment. Once a confident woman chooses a path, she walks it fully. She doesn't half commit while keeping one foot in the safety of indecision. She understands that life will always present risks, and no choice is without uncertainty. But she also knows that uncertainty is where growth lives. She would rather live with the consequences of a bold choice than the regret of never having chosen at all. That is how leaders are made, not by playing it safe, but by deciding with courage and following through with conviction. True confidence isn't built on the shaky foundation of other people's opinions. It's built from the inside out. When your self-worth depends on external validation, you are at the mercy of every compliment, every criticism, every shifting mood of the people around you. A confident woman refuses to live like that. She doesn't allow the mirror of her identity to be held in someone else's hands. Her sense of value comes from knowing who she is, what she stands for, and the work she's put into becoming that person. This is the kind of confidence that can't be inflated by praise or deflated by judgment. It's steady, rooted, and unshakable. That kind of inner confidence comes from consistent self-respect. You cannot claim to value yourself if you are constantly breaking promises to yourself. The confident woman invests daily in her growth. Whether that's through learning, physical discipline, or nurturing her mental well-being, she understands that self-respect is built every time she keeps a commitment to herself, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is watching. This quiet discipline strengthens her from within, so she doesn't have to chase approval to feel strong. Her confidence doesn't fluctuate with the opinions of others because it's anchored in action, not applause. Building confidence from the inside out also means confronting your own insecurities head on. Pretending they don't exist only gives them more control over you. A confident woman doesn't hide from her weaknesses. She studies them, addresses them, and turns them into strengths over time. This process is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. You can't rely on the illusion of perfection to feel confident. You have to rely on the truth that you are constantly evolving. and that evolution is where your power grows. Another pillar of inner confidence is emotional independence. When you build your sense of worth internally, you stop relying on constant reassurance from others to feel okay. That doesn't mean you reject love, praise, or encouragement. It means you're not dependent on them to function. A confident woman knows how to validate herself. She can acknowledge her own progress without needing it to be recognized by everyone else. This independence frees her from the exhausting cycle of seeking and losing approval. She remains steady, no matter who supports her and who doesn't. Confidence built from within also fuels resilience. Life will test you, plans will fail, people will disappoint you, and circumstances will shift without warning. When your confidence comes from external factors, these changes can break you. But when it comes from within, you bend without breaking. You adapt. You recover faster because your sense of self was never built on something temporary. A confident woman trusts herself to handle whatever comes, and that trust is what makes her unstoppable. At the core of it all, building confidence from the inside out is about ownership. You take ownership of your life, your choices, your growth, and your happiness. You don't outsource your self-worth to other people's opinions, and you don't let their approval, or lack of it, decide your value. You stand in the truth of who you are, knowing that the deepest form of power comes from being self-sustained. This is why a confident woman can walk into any room, face any challenge, and keep her head high. Not because she thinks she's perfect, but because she knows she's whole. Confidence is not a mask you put on. It's the unshakable truth you carry within you. It's the decision to walk into every space as if you belong there, to speak with conviction, to never apologize for the strength you've earned, to set standards that protect your worth, to make decisions with courage, and to build yourself so strong on the inside that nothing on the outside can break you. The power of a confident woman is not in how loudly she shouts, but in how deeply she believes in herself. It's in the quiet certainty that she is enough, right now, as she is, and that every step she takes is hers to command. When a woman embraces that kind of power, she doesn't just transform her own life. She becomes a force of change for everyone around her. So stand tall. Speak with certainty. Protect your worth. Trust your decisions. Build yourself from the inside out. And remember, your confidence is not just for you. It is the spark that lights the way for every other woman who is watching, waiting, and wondering if she can step into her own. When you rise without apology, you give her the answer.